Elestrals is a brand new card game brought to us by YouTube personality A-Drive. The game is, as of this recording, on its second set, Frostfall, with a third set releasing later this month. What separates Elestrals from its peers is the resource/life system based around a series of cards called spirits. In order to activate a card or summon one of our Elestrals, which the game refers to as casting, you must pay an amount of spirit cards from your 20-card spirit deck. The game ends when one player receives damage with 0 cards in their spirit deck. Because we're only in the second set, the card pool is small and very easy to pick up from a player perspective. Plenty of cards have effects similar to those in other TCGs while being balanced around the spirit system. Let's take Pot of Greed and Nectar of Gods for example. Both cards let the player draw 2 cards. While Pot is free and would be in 3 at every deck if possible, Nectar is a card that may very well cost you the game. There's plenty more we can dive into, but there's already a detailed how to play video on the official channel, which I recommend you watch to learn the mechanics of the game in detail. The focus of this video isn't to give us an optimal deck list because truthfully, I'm still putting the deck together. Like I said, the game is still in its infancy and as a result, it can be difficult to obtain cards. While you can buy structure decks and boosters from the official site with very quick shipping, the singles market is currently lacking. With 0 presence on TCG Player at the moment, hunting down singles leads us to Discords, eBay, and the rare LCS sites that sell limited singles which can understandably keep some people at bay. That being said, my experience so far has been nothing but positive with eBay, Discord, and of course the occasional LCS shops. The reason we're making this video is to document my start with the game and show how the deck comes together over time. To start off, I bought the Earth Starter deck from the official website for $20 before shipping, and it arrived about 4 days later. From what I understand, this would have been faster if I lived on the East Coast, but a West Coast printing station is reportedly coming soon, and that'll speed up both shipping and LCS distribution. The starter deck itself contains a 40-card deck, 20 spirits, a 21-sided die, and the Elestrals Bible. The deck is ready to go for the most part fresh out the box, but obviously there's plenty we can do to buff it up. For starters, our monster lineup is lacking a couple staples in Astro Rabbit and Elechick, 2 powerful Thunder Elestrals that help us speed up our deck. The main reason I went with the Earth deck over the more recent Frost deck or Thunder deck was because of a rune called Poison Tipped Arrow, a powerful counter rune that is exclusive to the deck. Gorgon's Gaze is another powerful counter rune that's available in a couple other decks, but more importantly was easily found on eBay, which at the time of this building, Poison Tip was not. There are other staples that I've added that weren't a part of the starter deck and would normally be obtained through boosters or buying singles, but luckily I went the Trident Dragon route and asked a friend. For the sake of budget however, let's say I had to obtain these on my own. The deck would come out to a little over $100, which to me is budget because I can have a playable deck in a game with amazing price support, or I can buy one of 3 copies of Fiendsmith. There are a couple cards that I'm still waiting on in the mail or waiting to pick up at a later date, but like I said earlier, the focus of this video is more of an intro as we prepare for weekly free tournaments and to my knowledge the once a month major. Now, onto the deck. Starting things off, we have 2 copies of Tectaris, a 1-drop Earth Elestral that gains 1 attack for each enchanting Earth on the field. On casting it comes out at a 4 attack. With the backup of other Elestrals and runes, it quickly buffs up to run over any other Elestral on the field. Next up, we have 3 copies of Equal Links. Equal Links allows us to nexus up to 2 Earth Spirits, which for those of you unfamiliar with the terminology, means we can move our spirits from one card to another. Once that effect resolves, we can target and destroy a rune, a walking MST with a respectable attack of 4. Next we have Speedmith, which on its destruction equips itself with an attacker and drops its attack to 0. It's one of the first cards on the cutting block, and is here more for its defense stat of 5 rather than its effect. Our final Earth Elestral is 3 copies of Rummagin. On cast, this card allows us to search for any of our 1-drop Earth Elestrals. In this build, that's Tectaris and Equal Links, but in future builds, it will also include Viserys, who as of this recording is in USPS jail. Onto our Thunder utility lineup. We have 3 copies of Astro Rabbit. Astro Rabbit is one of the best cards in the game at the moment, as it lets us look at the top 3 cards of our deck and add 1 to hand. Though it doesn't come up in our deck, this effect isn't once per turn, meaning you can activate it as many times as you can put energies onto it, which is very important for the current Thunder strategy. On top of its effect, Astro Rabbit has a very respectable 5 defense. Next up, we have 3 Elechick, which on normal cast searches for one of the most important cards in our deck, Demeter. In addition, it has a very nice 4 attack. Our last Elestral is Boombat, which is our Exiled Force, a quick way to clear Elestrals off the field. Onto our runes, we start off with 3 copies of our field, Foloi Forest. This card gives each Elestral an additional attack point for each Earth Spirit enchanting them, which as you can already guess, helps buff our Tectaris. Next we have 3 copies of Earthquake, which at the cost of 2 spirits allows us to destroy any Elestral on the field. We move on to our Divine Rune, 3 copies of Demeter. On activation, you can place up to 3 Earth Spirits onto it. You can remove a spirit in order to target 1 Elestral on the field and buff its attack and defense by 3. This in combination with Tectaris and Equal Links gives you a powerful beater and a recurring back row pop. Next up is Nectar of the Gods, which allows us to draw 2 cards at the cost of 2 spirits, Great in the early game, very risky and punishing the longer the game drags on. I tested it with 3 and that helped speed up the deck, but it left us like a sickly Victorian child walking into a sick ward. Next we have our counter rune, starting with 3 copies of Gorgon's Gaze. This card can negate an opponent's Celestial and then render it useless for the rest of the turn, arguably the strongest disruption card in the game at the moment. Next we have 2 copies of Poison Tipped Arrow, to both hinder our opponent's attacks and destroy our problematic Elestrals. And I would be playing 3 if the male gods be kind enough to deliver it. Next up we have 3 copies of Shield of Achilles, which bounces an attacking Elestral back to hand, sending their spirits to the underworld. It's a very costly card however, as you're not only paying the initial activation cost, but then you have to pay spirits equal to that of the attacking Elestral. That being said, it very often is worth it when you have no other out to some of the stronger Elestrals in the game. Our last protection based card is 3 copies of Tsunami. This card changes all Elestrals without a water spirit into defense position. Though that normally hits us, you can always misenchant your own Elestrals with a water spirit in order to protect them from Tsunami on either player's end. And our final card is Pure Recovery in the form of Ambrosia. On activation, we pay 1 spirit and in return are allowed to recover 3 spirits of our choice from the underworld. This is one of the most important cards in our deck as it not only keeps us alive, but keeps our deck functioning. Our current spirit count is 12 Earth, 5 Thunder, and 3 Water. This is going to change as we get new cards, specifically Lavalith, which will require us to play Fire Energies. As time proceeds, our deck will continue to grow and evolve, as will my card library and available decks. For my recommendation, I would suggest the Earth deck, Frost, or Thunder decks as starting points for any new player. With the game just starting off, now is an excellent time to jump on. So until next time, peace.